If you've been watching what just unfolded between Ottawa and Silicon Valley, you might want to sit down. Because this isn't a policy update. It's not a minor regulation. This is something much bigger. It's a digital declaration of independence. It just sent shockwaves through the most powerful tech companies on Earth. For decades, American tech giants treated Canada like an extension of their own market. They moved data north, monetized Canadian users, dominated digital infrastructure, and paid almost nothing in return. Companies like Google, Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft built massive ecosystems across cloud systems and networks. Data pipelines as if borders didn't matter. But as of now, that era is over. Canada has drawn a line, and everything just changed. At the center of it is one man, Mark Carney. He has just introduced one of the most aggressive digital sovereignty policies ever seen in a Western democracy, and inside Silicon Valley the reaction is panic. Because this wasn't impulsive, it was calculated, strategic, and potentially global. Let's break down what just happened. It started with pressure, a U.S. policy move designed to force open digital markets, demanding full access for American tech companies or threatening economic consequences. The expectation, Canada would back down quickly. That didn't happen. Instead, Carney and his inner circle economists, policy architects, financial strategists met behind closed doors for hours, and when they emerged, they didn't negotiate, they escalated. They introduced a sweeping new framework built around one idea: control your data or lose it. The new policy does three major things. First, it requires large foreign tech companies to store Canadian user data inside Canada with an infrastructure owned or controlled by Canadian entities, not leased, not outsourced, owned. Second, it introduces a direct tax on digital revenue generated from Canadian users. If a platform earns money from Canadian attention, it now pays for it. Third, and most disruptive, it targets artificial intelligence. Any AI system trained using Canadian data must now be registered and licensed, even retroactively. That means if your model learned from Canadian content, you may owe Canada. This is unprecedented, and it hits at the core of how modern tech operates, because data isn't just information anymore, it's fuel, and Canada just put a price on it. The response was immediate. Markets reacted, tech stocks dipped, investors recalibrated, and suddenly, this wasn't just a national policy, it was a global signal. Because here's the reality: big tech isn't just present in Canada. It's deeply embedded. Cloud infrastructure, public systems, digital service, they're all interconnected. Leaving isn't easy, compliance isn't cheap, and ignoring the rules, not an option. This creates leverage, real leverage, and that's what makes this moment so important, because this isn't just about Canada. It's about the future of the internet. For years, the digital world has largely followed one model, dominated by American companies, governed by their rules, powered by their infrastructure. But now, that model is being challenged, not by isolation, not by shutdowns, but by control. A middle path is emerging where countries don't reject the internet but reshape it, where data is treated like a national resource, where access comes with conditions, and where global tech companies must adapt. The world is watching closely, because if this works, if Canada can enforce these rules without damaging its own economy, others will follow. Europe, Asia, emerging markets, one by one, they could adopt similar frameworks, and if that happens, the global internet doesn't disappear, but it changes, it fragments, it becomes a network of systems instead of a single open flow. For tech companies, that means higher costs, stricter rules, and less control. For governments, it means more power. And for users, it means the digital world is entering a new phase. Right now, we're at the beginning of that shift. What happens next is uncertain. Maybe companies comply, maybe this becomes the start of a broader digital realignment. But one thing is clear: the old system where data flowed freely and power stayed concentrated is being challenged. It started in Ottawa.